Thank you very much, Maddie. Thank you. Judila, wherever you are, thank you so much for your passionate voice. Always, you're a tough act to follow, but I'll say what I have to say, and I'll try to keep it short. You know, like Judila just mentioned, we're talking to, right here we're talking to the converted. Every one of you are here because you care about Tibet and you care about what's happening inside Tibet and you care about human rights and humanity in general, so that's why you're here. But it is also very, very crucial and important for us to remember why this day, why we talk about Tibet 365 days, I talk about Tibet 365 days, but March 10th, why is it so significant? Especially to the younger generations, even my younger little brothers and sisters, Tibetans, it is important for us to know, it is important for you to know that on March 10th, 1959, in Lhasa, for the first time, tens of thousands of Tibetans took to the streets of Lhasa and revolted against the People's Liberation Army and against the Chinese government. And it is because of that defiant act of the Tibetan brave hearts we are all here today. I am here able to speak to you because of that one incident. His Holiness, who is the most precious to each and every one of us, he is traveling around the world spreading love and compassion and wisdom and advocating for Tibet. He is able to do that because of that one incident, March 10th. Because it was right after that incident, His Holiness had to, was escorted and took the flight to India. Had that event not happened, the entire course of Tibetan history today could have been very different. I could have been very different. I would not be here probably. So it is important for us to remember that so many lives were lost. So many people took to the streets, and these people were not warriors or soldiers or military people. These were ordinary people, moms and dads and monks and nuns and everybody, every single one Tibetan life that is suffering and is subjugated under the Chinese brutal regime even today. Since 1959, we are in 2015. The world has evolved so much. In my own lifetime, I have seen the world change so much. But what is happening inside Tibet is not changing, especially for the better. A lot of brutality is happening. I mean, all the other previous speakers touched upon everything that is happening. Environmentally, economically, geopolitically, all of these things are happening. It is our moral responsibility to be concerned and to talk and to be a voice for the voiceless and to speak up for the simple Tibetan people who are practicing nothing but non-violence and Buddhism. So it is our basic, fundamental duty to stand up for people like them, people like Tibetans and others around the world, especially when they are non-violent and when they're being crushed by this bully, as Judila mentioned. China is a bully. And we should not, as citizens of the free world, we should not be afraid of the Chinese government. And we should appeal to our leaders here, our MPs and our mayors and our prime ministers. Stephen Harper should not be kowtowing to the Chinese government. Should not. Because he is the leader of a free world. He is the leader that we elected. And it is his responsibility as a Canadian and as a speaker and as a leader of a free world, it is his responsibility and his constitutional duty to speak for Tibet. Because there are so many Chinese people here, Chinese immigrants, and we have, like I have said this many times in the past, we have absolutely nothing against the Chinese people. We don't. You are our neighbor. We were neighbors for centuries. We've had problems with each other, but we've always been neighbors, and we love the Chinese people. It is the Chinese government that is the problem. And the Chinese government is a problem even for your own citizens, even for the Chinese people. The reason why all these multi-millionaire Chinese people are flocking into Canada, Vancouver, and elsewhere, why do you think they are coming here, bringing all that money here? A lot of that money probably belongs to us. A lot of that money belongs to Tibet. But they're coming here and they're migrating to this country and this city. Why? Have you ever thought why? Because it's not safe in their own country for them. It is not safe. They have all that money and power, but they choose to come here. Why? Because it is free here. Because they can be like me, and they can talk like me, and they have the right to voice their opinion. And they have this freedom. So it becomes your responsibility too, to any Chinese people out there, and to media, please talk about it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. And to all the Chinese brothers and sisters, especially the very, very privileged ones who are here, it is your duty to speak against the Chinese government because you firsthand know why you came here. So it is your duty. And as a Tibetan now, I urge and I request, if anybody's taping this, I request the Tibetan government in exile, the Central Tibetan Administration headed by Harvard grad Lobsang Singala, I request and I urge you to be strong. I urge you to be defiant, and I urge you to play international geopolitics with the international world. Do not play politics inside Tibetans. Don't create problems and divisions inside the Tibetan world. And this is my request, not to anybody personal, this is my request to the Central Tibetan Administration. And I personally, as a citizen of the free world and as a bona fide Tibetan, I belong to every single member, every single group and organization that fights for freedom, that fights for independence, that fights for justice. I belong to Students for Free Tibet. I belong to Tibetan National Congress. I belong to Tibetan Youth Congress. I belong to Canadian, every single Canadian organization that fights for freedom and justice for all people around the world. And I speak here independently as a single Tibetan. And I urge Lobsang Singala, our Prime Minister, to please be defiant and play international politics with the world. Because we have a very, very, very strong case. We are the only country in the history of mankind that has not taken the path of violence. We are the only country in the history of mankind that has a leader like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And you are not alone. You have supporters, people who love Tibet and the Tibetan cause across the world, across the globe. So it is your duty, especially being so educated and so forward-thinking and so progressive, to unite the Tibetan people and demand independence for Tibet. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! And I personally, if ever CTA, the Central Tibetan Administration, if ever they are willing, on behalf of all the Tibetans who seek independence, because we know there are many people who want independence, not just genuine autonomy. So I speak on behalf of all the Tibetans and Tibet lovers that seek complete independence. I challenge the CTA for an open debate. I challenge the CTA for an open public forum debate to talk about the legitimacy of Tibet and to talk about why Tibet deserves independence and how we can get independence. We need to stop kowtowing with the rest of the world, and we need to take a firm stand, because Tibet belongs to Tibetans. It was never a part of China, and it will never be a part of China. As long as there's one single Tibetan alive in this world, this Tibetan independence movement is going to go on. And as long as I am alive, I will always talk about free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Long live! Long live! Long live! Tibetans unite! Tibetans unite! Tibetans unite for a free Tibet! Thank you. And thank you to every single non-Tibetan here. Thank you very much to every single non-Tibetan who have been supporting our cause. Maddie, thank you so much for your ongoing work for Tibet. She's been a Tibet supporter for over 20 years, steadfast, and has not changed. And I love you. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much to everybody, Leslie, for supporting Tibetans. Thank you to all my friends who've come here who support Tibet. Tibet needs your support, but Tibetans, we need to raise that flag. Can you give me this flag right here, please? This is my flag. This is the Tibetan flag, and this is not the Chinese flag. So the Tibetan world, the Tibetan Autonomous demanding CTA, the government in Dharamsala, if you want genuine autonomy, then you should not be hoisting this flag, because this flag belongs to the ones who believe in a free Tibet. And this is the Tibetan flag. This is the Tibetan national flag. So all Tibetans, younger Tibetans, be proud and raise this flag with dignity, with honor, and with steadfastness, and with guts. Because there is nothing more powerful than the truth. And we have truth on our side. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Thank you.